think when it comes to any kind of creative practice, a lot of creative people tend to run into the problem of feeling like they're restricted with the rules of whatever discipline they practice. And that's something I really wanted to talk about today, and that is how learning rules actually also teaches you how to break them effectively. That's the main thing that we're exploring today. And I'm talking about this specifically in the journaling context. Maybe I'll go into the drawing context or the illustration context another time. But today we're going to be talking about it, of how it applies to what I do in my journals. So first things first, as you can see, I have decoed my full moon yellow weeks. I placed this really cute Pokemon card in here again with Pikachu and Dawn. I think it's really cute. I have this Hachiwari charm on here and these beads that I attached to a book binding string. I attached it by just tying it onto the page markers that already comes with the weeks. And as you can see, it matches really well with the melon sorbet one that I had or showed in the last video, so go check that out if you're interested in how I full customized this. I removed the spine and I gave it a hardcover. So yeah, again, my way of breaking rules again. So I had a really good question pop up in like a few days ago, and someone was asking what the difference is between long form and short form journaling, and this is what I wanted to explain. So when we think of traditional journaling, what we tend to think of is like really long entries, and they are usually like brain dumps or emotional processing. It's just like freehand stream of consciousness writing through like large portions of pages. The question that I asked at this point, especially because I've been journaling for such a long time, but I felt like I wasn't really reaching my goals, was like, what is the function of the journal? And this varies like person to person. It is completely valid to journal just because you like putting stickers on things. You could journal because you want to improve your mental health, or you want to get better at annotating, or whatever your goals are. They are all completely valid. But again, this is just my thinking and what I've done because I wanted to make my journals more intentional and have them actually serve a function that benefits me in the long run. So that's the way I see it. Is long form journaling has one function from beginning to end. That is either like having a whole brain dump so that you don't have to like carry all that mental load with you everywhere, or an emotional dump, like something just like happened and you want to like decompress from that situation. What I found was that with this, if I'm just like writing like every day and it's just like long form after long form, you end up just telling stories. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't propel you towards taking action in any way. And what I found with short form journaling, which is what I ended up doing in my commonplace hybrid, is that I would have better balance between inputs and outputs. And what I mean by that is you will see these consistent like loops where the actual topic that you're writing changes very frequently. And to me, this is more effective because then you have multiple functions. Let's say the first function is just to decompress what happened, right? Then you can do the emotional processing, then you can like set intentions, and then you can take the actions and like have a record of the actions, because that helps you stay accountable for whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah, traditional journaling is just one stream of consciousness, where this breaks it down into like digestible sections and you can actually track where your mind is going. All right, so here I'm explaining more of like my intentions towards some of the stuff that I'm working on for Substack. And like, as you can see here, like, whatever emotions that I was processing beforehand gets translated into actions basically on the next page. So it's not just that, like, you're memory keeping or you're just recounting the stories, but you're actually, like, actively creating your next story, I guess. I saw this sticker while I was walking down the street, and it said Angelic Report, and I wanted to use that as a title to kind of summarize key things that I'm learning. And I think it's just like a really cute way of doing it. Like, you don't have to like make everything so literal. I think having fun names makes the process even more fun. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was grid systems. Now, grid systems are technically a graphic design and bookmaking term for the way that you lay out text and images on a page. So this takes inspiration from like commonplace journaling, where you have a column that's designated for the topic and like basically like a key point that you're like pointing out, and the main body goes into this kind of panel here. You can break these rules with the text, with color, with format. So yeah, I was celebrating my birthday, and here you can see like the text to image relations. You can put a really big text and it makes like the page feeling completely different. You could also, here you can see the texture is even different here, where you see like this image goes perfectly within this line, this one breaks it and it feels a bit different. The color variation also changes the texture of the page, where some parts feel lighter than others. You could even do full just pictures. I really like doing this, especially when I feel like I need a breather, and looking at trees helps a lot. Trees and blue skies. So don't be afraid to just like print out a huge page, just slap it on there. So grids and guides, it's much easier if I show you on a bigger scale. So this is a Midori like A5 notebook. And this works especially well if you're using a grid or a dot grid. It is slightly more difficult if your pages are lined. You'll have to like manually line the columns, but it's still possible. So a practice that I like to do is taking a post-it note, and you imagine this post-it note is an image that you've printed out or you want to include. If you put it, like, let's say conventionally, it'll put it on the top of the page, you'll see that the text will go around that. Well, what if you put it in the middle of the page? The text will wrap around it, which could be interesting. You could even write, you can change the orientation, so you can write horizontally and vertically. You can put it here. What if you put it in the middle? I mean, that causes a bit of problems because it's in the spine, but what if you had full-on text here, full-on text here, and there's just this image here? This is like quite a nice layout, I think, for this size. And then you can play with the scale of the picture. So let's take this post-it note, and if you like doubled the size of the picture, how does that look? You can, don't mind the doorbell. Excellent. Here, what if you put it up here like a page flag? What if you had full text writing and just this image in the middle, no text? The playing with blank space also helps a lot. And what about multiple pictures? How will you arrange them? You see, like, there's lots of ways to play with them, and breaking the rules, like if you look up graphic design grids and layouts, you'll find a bunch of examples of how like magazines, newspapers, books lay out their stuff, and you can take some inspiration from there, and from there just try experimenting, like shifting the text, for example, out of the column, or changing the color of the text, or changing the ink. So either it's like a shading ink or a glittery ink, all of that has an effect on how the page feels. And this is a concept called hierarchy, where, for example, if your key point in the page is to like look at the image, for example, like having a really big image on one side really grabs your attention, and then it makes like the text on the other side read as like below the image. And what I mean by that is that your eye gets drawn to the picture before it gets drawn to the text. The same thing happens with colored ink. So colored ink tends to draw your eye faster than like neutral colored text. I'm going to take this as an example again. As you can see here, what will probably happen is that this is different for everyone, but what tends to happen is that our eyes are get drawn to color first. I think for me personally, because these pictures are quite dark, I think the light green ink draws the attention first, and then these pictures, and then like the body writing or whatever is in like these boxes. So yeah, just have fun, like learn like the creative rules to break them. That's also, I guess, like what I did with this kind of commonplace hybrid. I had the this was originally an A5 Hobonichi notebook that I cut down to week size, again because my question was, what is the function of this journal and how can I make it useful for me? So instead of like being restrained to the format of the A5, I literally just cut it down, and now I have it completely as one system, as I can hold it and it feels really great. And I like the appearance of the text on this. Like, I like the appearance of the text. I like the way that my handwriting looks in this format. There are rules, but it also gives me enough freedom to feel like I'm not making repetitive entries. I hope you found some of those tips really useful, because they are really integral to my journaling practice and even my illustrating practice, any creative practice. I remember like being 15, like really convinced in my like creative journey in the future, and the most like infuriating thing would be like adults telling me that I need to learn the rules of like light and dark, composition, rules of threes, what have you. But I see why it's useful now, and that's because I can break them. And it's fun breaking them. And that's how like innovation happens as well. Like if you diverge from the norm or the standard format, it becomes really interesting. I also wanted to show what I got for my birthday as well, because during my birthday week, it was actually fountain pen day. And I didn't know that fountain pen day was an actual thing until I was on some websites that sold like fountain pens that I liked. I was eyeing some TWSBIs and I saw that they were discounted, so I immediately jumped at the opportunity and I picked this beauty up. This is the TWSBI Eco in cream and rose gold. This is in the extra fine. As you guys know from my previous videos, I love my extra fine TWSBI. And I assembled this with like keeping in mind a strawberry shortcake, but also making it a bit vampy. So do you see the vision with the strawberry shortcake? I thought it was a really cool concept. And along with that, I got 2 new inks. Or like for this, I don't have any red inks or any pink fountain pen ink, so I thought this was a good opportunity to try. So I got the Sailor Studio in 731, and this is the Kyoiro in Lacquer Red. And what I ended up doing is actually mixing them to produce this color, and I think it's the perfect amount of vampy and sweet. It's not like blood red, it's slightly lighter, so it looks a bit more like a candied strawberry or a candied cherry. I really like the color of that. And another ink that I purchased, I'm a huge Wearingeul fan. I say that, but I only have one other Wearingeul ink. I have the one in Wendy Darling. This is so beautiful. Yeah, like one of my ultimate favorite inks, and I wanted to get another one. This is like a more tealy ink. If you are into like shimmery or like want some ink with more dimension and shading, Wearingeul is a really good way to go. So this is what's also really fun about Wearingeul inks is that they're named after classic literature pieces or just literature or fairy tales. So as you can see, this one is by Daniel Defoe, it's Robinson Crusoe, and that was, yeah, Peter Pan. And they have a bunch of other stories, and I think that's a really cute concept. I'm not sure which pen I'm going to put this in yet. I still have my Pilot Kakuno to fill in, and I don't know why, but I'm just like unsure of what ink to put in here. It's so cute though. I tried like putting like really basic inks, and I don't want to do that because I am like really loyal to the TWSBI and Pilot that I use for like my daily entries. And I want to put something interesting in here. Maybe the Wearingeul could actually go really well in this. And the last bit of my haul, I freaked out. This was the first time since I was, I don't know, like a literal child, seeing Jewel Pet like out in the wild, like in a physical shop. This was crazy to me. I remember like I had like 3 little Jewel Pet like figurines. Oh my god, this just is such a throwback. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is Ruby and Sapphire. Sapphire's a dog, I'm pretty sure, and Ruby the rabbit. So cute. They have like a slightly sparkly effect on them, which is quite nice. And I like the scale of them. So that's it for today's video. I hope you learned something about how to learn rules and how to break them, and see you next time. Bye bye!